I am 50, and I have stood over her slaughter. 7 loves in her 20s that clawed her chest wide, spilling her blood across a decade of dreams she thought were soulmates, only to choke on their lies. Picture her at 21, eyes feral, soul screaming as she leapt into love's gaping maw, then see her at 27, staggering from the carnage, her heart a jagged scar, her spirit a blade forged in agony. Welcome to Girlify Mind, where we do not sob over love's butchery. We seize its knives and carve our triumph. Today, I unleash Anna's war, 7 loves that vowed forever and slashed her to the bone, 7 gashes that scream her survival, her fury, her rebirth. These are not hushed regrets. They are howls from her gut, truths to shatter your ribs and set your soul ablaze. In her 20s, love was Anna's executioner, a relentless axe, hacking through her innocence, her hope, her flesh. She dove into each, reckless, radiant, raw, believing every searing flame was her eternal dawn. But I saw the slaughter unfold. They were not soulmates. They were her tormentors, 7 brutal crucibles that ripped her apart to hammer her into iron. At Girlify Mind, we do not cower under love's lash. We rise, wielding its scars, because her path from 21's wildfire to 27's piercing betrayal is your battle cry too. I am her voice, 50 years steeped in life's brutal forge, roaring these lessons with a force that shakes the earth, each a wound, each a victory, each a call to your own savage strength. Clutch your rage or your tears, and face this with me. This is not surrender. This is supremacy. Slam that like if love has ever torn you raw. Subscribe to Girlify Mind. Join us where we claw power from pain's jaws. Bellow in the comments, what love flayed your soul deepest? I hear every war cry. We charge into her blood-soaked tale now, because at Girlify Mind, your heart is not a victim. It is a conqueror. Brace for her first savage wound. At 21, her soul devoured in flames. At 21, she plunged into a roaring inferno, a love that devoured her whole, her soul mate, she screamed, until it spat her out, charred and gasping. She was 21, a blaze of youth untamed, when he stormed her world, a tempest of charm, a furnace of reckless promise. His eyes seared her spirit, his voice thundered through her veins. I watched her crown him soul mate, her first and fiercest dawn. They raged together, nights ablaze with starlight, days pulsing with vows, believing love so wild could defy the heavens. But flames untended turned feral, his temper slashed, her pleas bled, and their union became a pyre. She fought to salvage it, hands scorched, heart howling, clinging to embers as he turned to smoke. He vanished, a blast of absence shattering her, and I saw her collapse, lungs choking on ash, eyes wild with betrayal. That ruin was her awakening. He was not her soul mate. He was her annihilation, a love too fierce to forge, too swift to stand. She staggered up, skin singed, resolve hardening, learning in that inferno's wake. Love demands more than fire. It demands foundations unshaken. Her first wound was not her end. It was her genesis, a scar that whispered strength as she faced the years ahead. In her pain, I saw the spark of a warrior born, her journey's brutal start, her spirit's first tempering. Here is the truth I wield. Soul mates do not consume. They construct. They forge with you, not against you. At Girlify Mind, we do not kneel to ashes. We rise from them. She learned at 21 that love must root deep to endure. My advice strikes hard. Test the flame's base before it claims you. It spares your soul. That inferno birthed her fire, a strength to burn anew. At 22, her heart drained by a leech. At 22, she clutched a leech to her chest, a love to drain her agony, her soul mate, she gasped, until it sucked her dry and left her a husk. She was 22, her spirit still raw from 21's blaze. When he crept close, a shadow of solace, a promise of peace. His calm was her lifeline, his softness her refuge. I watched her seize him, naming him soulmate, her healer in a storm of wounds. She poured forth, tears flooding, nights unraveling, believing his embrace could stitch her soul. But leeches thrive on blood, not balm. She gave, he took, her essence seeping into his silence. I saw her wither, her vibrance fading, her strength siphoned, while he grew heavy, bloated on her pain. She pressed on, voice trembling, hands clawing, until his hollow gaze revealed the truth. He offered no healing, only hunger. She ripped away, breath ragged, spirit parched, casting him aside to reclaim her pulse. He was not her soulmate. He was her parasite, a love that fed, not fortified. In that wrenching break, she grasped a bitter lesson. Love does not sap your life. It sustains it, and vowed to mend her own scars before offering her heart again. That leech left her frail, yet I saw her resolve ignite, a fire to stand alone unbled. Here is the lesson I brand. Soulmates do not drain. They replenish. They pour into you as you do them. At Girlify Mind, we do not bleed for others. We guard our flame. She learned, at 22, that love must give, not gorge. My advice bites. Heal your wounds before you share them. It keeps you vital. That leech taught her to preserve her fire, a shield for her soul's ascent. At 23, her love swallowed by a void. At this age, she hurled her heart into a void, a love stretched across miles, her soulmate. She wailed, until the abyss devoured it whole. She was 23, bold with newfound wings, when he lingered distant, a murmur through wires, a vow across endless space. His promises were her tether, his voice her nightly salve. I saw her bind him as soulmate, her bridge over a boundless gulf. They stretched thin, letters her lifeline, calls her pulse, clinging to faith that love could defy the miles. But voids swallow whole, his replies dwindled, her trust frayed, and I watched her strain, her cries lost in the ether. She heard shadows, his nights unshared, his silence ablade, and fought to hold him, her spirit stretched to breaking. The end struck, his voice flat, her heart sinking, and she severed the cord, letting the void claim its due. I saw her burn his echoes, words to ash, hope to dust, knowing he was not her soulmate. He was her mirage, a love too far to feel. In that hollow, she learned love thrives in closeness, not in chasms, and turned, her gaze seeking flesh over fantasy, her feet craving solid ground beneath her once more. That distance was her crucible, stripping her of illusion, forging her resolve anew. Here is the wisdom I thrust. Soulmates do not drift in voids. They dwell in reach. They anchor you near. At Girlify Mind, we do not chase mirages. We clasp the real. She learned, at 23, that love roots in presence, not promise. My advice slashes. Hold the one you can touch. It endures beyond dreams. That void taught her nearness is love's steel, a strength to stand firm. At 24, her soul smothered by a shell. At 24, she choked in a hollow shell, a love so perfect it gagged her, her soulmate. She choked until she clawed free, gasping for air. She was 24, rising from her trials, when he slipped in, polished, precise, a sculpture of calm. His order was her lore, his steadiness her balm. I saw her fit him, naming him soulmate, her shield from the wild. They moved in unison, days neat, nights still, yet her spirit thrashed, a beast caged in glass. His hands were cold, his plans a tightening coil, and I watched her smother, her fire snuffed by his frame. She lingered, breath short, soul clawing, thinking love was this sterile peace, not a roaring tide. It was not. She shattered it, voice a thunderbolt, feet breaking free, leaving his shell intact, her wildness unleashed. He was not her soulmate. He was her suffocation, a love too hollow to hold her flame, too tame to match her storm. In that rupture, she grasped, love does not stifle. It stirs, and I saw her stride forth, her chaos reclaimed, her heart demanding a rhythm to match its own. That shell was her prison, its breaking her liberation, a lesson in the fury of her untamed soul. Here is the truth I hammer. Soulmates do not smother. They spark, they fuel your wildness, not fence it. At Girlify Mind, we do not shrink to shells, we shatter them. She learned, at 24, that love must roar, not restrain. My advice rages. Seek the one who fans your flame. It sets you free. That shell taught her to breathe unbound, a strength fiercely alive. At 25, her heart crushed by his collapse. At 25, she cradled a collapsing ruin, a love she swore to raise, her soul mate. She bled, until his weight crushed her beneath. She was 25, tempered by her scars, when he fell into her arms, a wreckage of a man, a soul unmoored by life. His pain drew her, his shadows her call. I saw her lift him, naming him soul mate, her purpose in his plight. She poured forth, days of toil, nights of tears, believing love could resurrect his broken frame. But ruins do not rise alone, they drag. She sank, her strength his scaffold, her light his lamp, while he lay heavy, unmoving in her grasp. I watched her fracture, her spirit buckling, her voice a fading cry, until she saw she was crushed beneath his fall. She tore free, lungs screaming, bones aching, leaving him to his rubble, seizing her own air. He was not her soul mate, he was her collapse, a love too frail to stand, too vast to lift. In that crushing weight, she learned, love is not a savior's burden, it is a shared rise, and I saw her stand, her own pillar, refusing to break for another's ruin again. That collapse was her breaking point, her rebirth in solitary strength. Here is the lesson I sear. Soulmates do not collapse you. They fortify, they rise with you, not on you. At Girlify Mind, we do not bear others' falls, we bolster our own. She learned, at 25, that love must stand equal, not crush. My advice thunders, save yourself first. It keeps you unbroken. That collapse taught her to stand alone, a strength unyielding. Her soul ripped by a maelstrom. At 26, she wrestled a maelstrom, a love that ripped her to ribbons, her soul mate, she roared, until its fury left her shredded and bare. She was 26, fierce from her forge, when he crashed in, a whirlwind of chaos, a blaze of untamed might. His passion was her siren, his fury her thrill. I saw her embrace him, naming him soul mate, her equal in the storm. They surged, days of rapture, nights of war. Each clash a bond, each calm allure. But maelstrom do not mend, they maim. His rage erupted, her peace bled, and I watched her tear, her spirit shredded by his gales. She battled, voice a howl, heart a hammer, clinging to chaos as it clawed her raw. She broke free, lungs bursting, flesh torn, casting him to his tempest, seizing her calm. He was not her soul mate. He was her maelstrom, a love too savage to sow, too fierce to steady. In that shredding, she learned, love is not a storm to endure. It is a harbor to hold, and I saw her stride forth, her stillness reclaimed, her soul demanding peace over pandemonium. That maelstrom was her reckoning, her strength reborn in silence after the roar. Here is the truth I blaze. Soulmates do not rend. They repair. They calm your seas, not capsize them. At Girlify Mind, we do not wrestle chaos. We reign over it. She learned, at 26, that love steadies, not shatters. My advice thunders. Choose the one who quiets your storm. It restores you. That maelstrom taught her peace's power, a strength to anchor firm. At 27, her heart pierced by a near miss. At the age of 27, she bled for a near miss, a love so close it pierced her core, her soul mate, she sobbed, until it almost broke her wide. She was 27, seasoned by her wars, when he stepped near, a man of warmth, a mirror almost true. His spirit matched hers, days deep, nights tender. I saw her bind him, naming him soul mate, her final fit at last. They wove tight, plans rising, hearts aligning, until their truths clashed raw. She sought permanence, roots, a legacy. He craved flight, skies unbound, and I watched her strain, her love bending to his drift. She held fast, her chest of ice, her dreams a plea, until the rift stabbed deep, a wound of nearness unfulfilled. She released him, tears a torrent, will a blade, leaving him soft, herself gashed. He was not her soul mate. He was her near miss, a love so close it cut, too far to clasp. In that piercing, she learned, love is not almost. It is all, in vision and in vow, and I saw her march on, her heart demanding its full measure, her soul refusing less than whole. That near miss was her final forge, her strength honed to precision, unyielding. Here is the wisdom I thrust. Soul mates do not pierce with almost. They complete. They meld your core entire. At Girlify Mind, we do not settle for near. We seize the full. She learned, at 27, that love must align, not ache. My advice slashes. Wait for the one who fits your all. It fulfills you. That near miss taught her exactness, a strength to claim her whole. Conclusively, in her 20s, she mastered love's forge. Here stands her testament, 7 loves in her 20s, each a soul mate she crowned, each a forge that hammered her mighty. I am 50, and I have borne her witness, from 21's devouring flames to 27's piercing miss, her heart a battlefield of triumphs unbound. At Girlify Mind, we do not lament love's slashes, we sharpen them, because in her 20s, love was her crucible, her chaos, her crown. At 21, flames devoured her. At 22, a leech drained her. At 23, a void swallowed her. At 24, a shell smothered her. At 25, ruins crushed her. At 26, a maelstrom ripped her. At 27, a near miss pierced her. Each love was a blade, each a bellows, stripping her naivety, forging her steel. I weave these wounds for you. 7 slashes that bled her into power, because they were not soul mates. They were her smiths, crafting her from ash to iron. She stands now, unbroken, unrelenting, a testament to love's fierce lessons, ready for its truest form beyond her youth's wild fray. So, warriors, claim her fire. Your 20s, or any age, are not for breaking. They are for forging. Slam that like if her scars echo yours. Subscribe to Girlify Mind. Join us where we wield pain as power. Roar in the comments, what love forged your might? At Girlify Mind, your heart is not a casualty. It is your conquest. Let us rise, invincible, together.